Good evening, class. For Module 8, I wanted to discuss on the importance of patient advocacy. Now, by definition, patient advocacy is an area of lay specialization in healthcare concerned with patient education about the use of health plans and how to obtain needed care. Basically, what this is saying is we have to look out for the patient's best interest at all times, from a bum toe to a possible stroke. Every call is important. It's not our emergency, it's their emergency, and let's just treat people with respect. Remember, being an advocate is not just for a medical patient. You can be an advocate to a homeowner who just saw his house burn down by calling out the Red Cross to be able to provide a place for them to stay for the night, by calling out a company to board up their house so it's not left out in the open for people to come in and vandalize. Now, advocacy is very important, not only because we have a legal obligation, but at the end of the day, we have a moral responsibility to treat the citizens of our community the way we would want our own loved ones to be treated. Now, at times, patient advocacy can include convincing someone to go to the hospital because you have that gut feeling something could be going on. Now, the hospital, this can easily be done by allowing the patient to exercise their patient autonomy. I've I've noticed that it's much easier to convince a patient to go to the hospital if you just let them be a part of the call. Let them be aware of what's going on. Include them in the call. It'll help build that rapport with that patient for that short amount of time. So the more you inform them, their blood pressures, their vital signs, their EKG, let them know what you're doing. It's gonna build that rapport, and it's gonna be much easier for us to persuade them to go to the hospital if they're kind of on the fence about it. Now, at times, patient advocacy means being a counselor. You know, I'm sure in North Lauderdale, just like in any other city, we get plenty of calls where you know there's people with mental health issues. One being something like depression. Now, many times these people they just want someone to talk to. They want an ear. They want to vent. It may not be a true emergency, but as a patient advocate, if you just show interest in them, they're going to want to vent, and you're looking out for them. You know, Granted, we all live for the true emergencies. Everyone wants that MI or that stroke or that commercial structure, the trauma alert. But unfortunately, the way things are going in today's society, the emergency medical service field is becoming more of a community service. Even people that are BLS and have access to being transported, you know, we shouldn't criticize them. Instead of criticizing them and 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 kind of talking down to them, you have a car there, you can take yourself to the hospital. Take a different approach. Educate them. With that being said, you're gonna win them over with kindness instead of, criticizing them and speaking down to them. Now, you gotta always remember that it's not about what you say; it's how you say it. So that definitely makes things different. Now, you can take the time out on a non-emergency call just to educate and be an ear for someone, and it's going to pay off at the end of the day. That's what a good patient advocate does. Now, another way of being a good patient advocate would be, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Someone called us out. My knee hurts. I was playing football yesterday. And now I have a bum knee. Well, that's not a true emergency. But as a good patient advocate, you're going to listen to them, and you may have a smart ass person on the truck who's gonna be like, I'm gonna teach this person a lesson. I'm gonna stick a 14 gauge IV in them because I want to. Now, a good patient advocate is gonna stop that person in their tracks and say, listen, that's not the right thing to do. You take the appropriate approach in front of the patient, but we don't need to be stabbing someone just because we're upset because they called us for a useless purpose. Something that's we're not truly needed for. I mean, it may cause some friction between you and your partner at the time, but at the end of the day, they're not showing um, good integrity by doing that. It's unethical. It's uncalled for to stab someone with a 14 gauge who doesn't need a 14 gauge. You, as a good patient advocate, are doing the right thing. What else? Another example of patient advocacy would be, you know, um, we run a call on someone who has a drug-related issue. Now, you want to be almost like a social worker for that patient. So it's another form of patient advocacy. When you get to the hospital, you inform the nurse. Listen, on the way over here, we had a heart-to-heart conversation. This guy has a drug problem. He really needs to seek some help, and he's looking for help. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to allow the hospital to give them the resources to get help. Hospitals have sheets of different places people can go for drugs, Addicts Anonymous or whatnot. Um, with that, the last thing I kind of want to touch up on is, as children in school, we're taught the golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated. Now, if we stick with this rule, no one shall have a problem being a patient advocate. And on that note, I want to tell everyone good night, and see you guys later.